Hi there, Lion Cubs. It's Miss Homan from Room 9. I am going to read you a story, and we are going to look at some problems and solutions and kind of connect to the story and how we feel and how we would feel. We are going to read Sofia Valdez, Future Prez. And you may have already read this in your classroom. We're just going to read it together and look at, like I said, the problem and the solution and how we as people right now connect to the text. So, Sofia was a baby who got things done, helping her family before she turned 1. She and Abuelo went out every week to help elderly friends around Blue River Creek who couldn't get out and about on their own and with no place to gather were stuck home alone. It kind of sounds like right now, doesn't it? Raking the leaves, taking pets for a walk, or just dropping by for a treat and a talk. Sofia Valdez did as much as she could for her family and her friends and her whole neighborhood. A dreamer, a doer, a real-life go-getter. Most people liked good, but Sofia liked better. So one of the questions I have for you in this part is, do you think that Sofia Valdez was being a good citizen, and why do you think that? So I want you to think about that. This page is kind of tricky. Each morning, Abuelo walked Sophie to class. They walked home again along Blue River Pass, making plans, munching cookies, Abuelo and girl, except for that Tuesday when Pup saw the squirrel. And you can see how this page, like this. With a howl, Pup took off, racing all through the town, over, under, beneath, and around. Sofia scrambled to try to keep up with the hollering man and the bellowing Pup. And it keeps going all the way around. Up the squirrel ran to the top of a hill made of junk left over from the local landfill. They reached the tip top of that mountain of trash, which jiggled and broke with an ear-splitting crash. Down they all tumbled and hit with a thud on a moldy old pumpkin surrounded by mud. Ouch, cried Abuelo. He struggled to stand. A dangerous mess, he said, grasping her hand. So what happened to Abuelo and why did that happen? It's another question I want you to think about. The next day, Sofia walked to school solo. It wasn't the same without her Abuelo. This is not right, declared young Sofia, who glared at Mount Trashmore and got an idea. Now this is one of our big questions. What's the problem? What is Sofia seeing as a problem? The very next morning at dawn, she planted a sign at the front of the lawn. She stood back and smiled, and Pup gave a bark. Get rid of Mount Trashmore. Let's build a new park. So it seems like we have a solution, right? Build a park. We're not done with our story. Each of her neighbors had something to say about benches and fountains and places to play, meeting spots, gardens, a basket for bees, a rubber duck pond, and a kiosk for cheese. She drew every thought on her map of the park, which was perfectly perfect by 1/4 past dark. She drifted to sleep in her soft, cozy bed. Then, bam! She woke up when a thought smacked her head. Her heart skipped a beat as she realized each one of her neighbors had said, "Let me know when it's done." They all thought Sofia could build it alone. But how could one girl do so much on her own? The weight of that thought made her heart ache as night thunder growled and she lay wide awake. Then dawn brought a storm and the gloomy sky wept, and the heart-sick Sofia finally slept. Abuelo baked cookies when Sophie got up. He gave her a bagful and sneaked one to Pup. He blinked back a tear as he hugged his Sofia. "For courage," he whispered. "Te amo, mi vida." Sofia's knees wobbled. She felt weak inside. She looked at his ankle and quite nearly cried, though she didn't feel brave or so courageous at all. Sofia Valdez went to face City Hall. The mayor's office sent her to room 401, the Blue River Creek Department of Fun, which sent her downstairs to room 302, the Office of Duck Ponds and Cool Things to Do, to the Office of Monkeys, the Department of Cheese, the Division of Fountains and Meetings and Bees, then down to the basement, so musty and cramped, where all the town's papers were sorted and stamped. And that's where the clerk said what no one else did. "Can't build a new park. You're only a kid." Now, how would you feel if you had this great idea to help and they said, "Nope, you're only a kid"? The words smacked Sofia deep down in her heart. Her plan was kiboshed before it could start. "I think," said Sofia, "I think that law's wrong." But her second grade voice didn't sound very strong. The clerk said clearly, "It cannot be done. Do you have any questions?" Sofia said, "One. If you were me, and if I was you, and he was your grandpa, what would you do?" Well, said the clerk. Then she said nothing at all. She thought and she thought. Then she sent out a call to every employee throughout City Hall. The entire government of Blue River Creek crammed into the office to hear Sofia speak. But her words jumbled up and her cheeks turned bright red as a dozen emotions rushed into her head. Her heart beat so loudly she thought it would crack. The crowd leaned in closer. Sofia leaned back. Then her arm brushed the edge of that old cookie sack. That was the moment when Sofia first knew being brave means doing the thing you must do, though your heart cracks with fear, though you're just in grade 2. What would you do in this moment right here? If that was you? Because I think I would have been very scared. And would you quit? She took a deep breath, looked the mayor in the eye, and though her knees wobbled, she held her head high. Sofia started talking. She spelled out her plan and why it all mattered and how it began. And once she got rolling, she had lots to say about meeting spots, monkeys, and places to play, and other ideas for things they could do to help the town elders and other folks too. She had thoughts on the library, thoughts on the zoo, and perhaps a way to combine the two. And, all right, cried the mayor, go start a petition. If the town wants a new park, we'll form a commission. And so young Sofia got right to work with some help from her family and Pup and the clerk. And others joined in, not all, but a few, like Miss Lila Greer and the kids in grade 2. Oh, I just saw the sign says, si se puede. We know that. There were hearings and surveys and taxes to figure. Then bulldozers, cranes, and a big blue digger. They all built that park. That's how it got done. With the hard work of, by, and for everyone. But it began with the dream of one person, just one, who laced up her shoes and then led the way to help Blue River Creek get a new place to play. Now every evening till long after dark, the town comes together at Citizens Park. They all hold this truth to be self-evident, that Sofia Valdez could grow up to be president. Until then, Sofia, that real-life go-getter, helps Blue River Creek get better and better. So how did they end up solving that problem? What do you think? We are going to talk about that. You are going to need something to write with and something to write on. So go ahead and grab those things, come on back, and we will be ready to go. All right, my friends, so you can see I have my paper and I have my pen. And I have all of the questions that I asked you during the story. So the first question I asked was, do you think that Sofia is being a good citizen and why? So that is going to be the first question we answer right here. So the first question is, do you think Sofia is being a good citizen and why? Not just yes or no, but why do you think that yes or that no? So that is number one. The second question is, what is the problem Sofia sees? So what is the problem Sofia sees? She saw something that was wrong in her community and she wanted to solve it. So what was that problem? And then we talked about some feelings. Why do you think Sofia was upset or worried? So we're going to answer that one third. It's going to be number 3. Why do you think Sofia was upset or worried? Remember, she came up with a solution and she presented it to her neighbors and then something happened. Number 4 is, how would you feel if that was said to you? So remember when Sofia went to the city, they said, nope, you're just a kid. So how would you feel if that was you? And then our very last question is, how did they solve the problem? Did Sofia have to solve it by herself? What happened? So these are the 5 questions that you're going to answer, and you do not have to answer them like this, but I want you to see them. If I were answering them, I would probably go like this. So that's how I would number my paper. But here are the questions. So I'm going to leave them here so that you can pause the video and then answer them and then come back to the video. So I really like Sofia Valdez, Future Prez, for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of really important messages in it. She's in 2nd grade just like we are. And that's just, she found something that was wrong. We've talked about our responsibility as being good citizens. We've talked about it with King-Chavez and Martin Luther King Jr. We talked about it in Wonders, how we have the rights and responsibilities of a citizen of this country. So Sofia Valdez talks about that. But this is also a really great story to talk about problem and solution, which is something that we have talked about throughout 2nd grade. What was wrong in the story and how did the characters in the story fix it? So I want you to answer these questions, post a picture of that to your portfolio. Make sure you use complete sentences and you really think about it. That's why I showed you the questions so you could pause the video and go back and answer it. So friends, I really hope you've enjoyed Sofia Valdez, Future Prez, and that you really can think about how you would feel if you were that character. So that is it. Have a wonderful day. I will see you later. Bye, Lion Cubs.